different pieces of equipment to keep you safe. Because as a contractor, there's not a lot of, you're really on your own. You have to be responsible for yourself. If you get hurt, then there really isn't anybody to pick up the slack. You have bills, you have mortgage, your kids need to be fed, your wife needs to be taken care of. So you need to keep yourself safe. And the biggest way to do that is keeping the right protective equipment on, using the right processes, right techniques. So in today's video, I really wanted to focus on the PPE equipment that I used and I carried in my rig as a contractor, and different ways that I kept myself safe while I was working. All right, so start at your feet. These are my steel-toed boots. I live and work in Canada, so the winters can get really cold, especially if you go up north. And for me to be productive, I'm one of those guys who I need my feet to be happy. And so I've spent some money over the years and I've invested in really good steel-toed footwear. Most construction sites won't let you on to the site without steel toes. And most shops it's in Canada, we're required by law to, if you're working in one of these trades, mechanic, welder, machinist, doing the stuff that I do and I did, you were OSHA, well, OSHA is the state's version of it, but you were required by law to wear certain PPE. So as a welder, I always really liked the boots with the metatarsal guards on them. You're going to want to have a steel shank in there, so if you step on a nail or something while you're on site, you don't put it up through your foot, and good ankle support, because often the ground you're walking on is not very even. You don't want to risk wrecking yourself and putting yourself out of commission. Over here, I have a pair of Dunlop steel toes. I bought these last year. I got called for a job. Buddy said, hey, you're going to need a good pair of rubber boots. And it was kind of, well, that's weird. But when I got to site, we were literally welding in inch to 2 inch deep water. And quite often, the sludge we were wading through to get to where we were working was about that deep. It varied a little bit. Took a bit to get it all drained out. And the story with that is the apprentice I had working with me only had, regular steel-toed boots on. So he was walking through the water. His boots were soaked. And in typical young man fashion, he's like, no big deal, just keep welding. And the poor kid shocked himself so many different times that day. By the end of the day, we were working on the last couple welds, and he just looked at me and said, hey, could you finish these off? So keep in mind the environments you're going into and wear appropriate equipment. I didn't get shocked once those days. And I welded in there for a good solid week. So yeah, and now, like I said, we can experience temperatures to minus 50. I've worked in minus 50. It's not fun. Keep your feet toasty. It makes life way more bearable when you're miserable. We don't have the luxury of working in an office all the time. And, a good pair of winter steel-toed boots is worth every penny. Alright guys, so the next couple things I want to talk about are safety glasses, earplugs, and I have these are my Shade 5 cutting goggles that I use when I'm running plasma table, or cutting with torch, cutting with a hand plasma, any of those thermal arc processes. You're going to want those. I want to speak a little bit about these guys here. So this set, these are custom earplugs. They're form fitted to my ear. They slip in. They cost about $160 for a set. Price has gone up recently, so here in Canada, or at least in Alberta, the employer is required to provide you with eye protection and hearing protection. So generally your supplier or your employer will supply you with the little foam earplugs that are, they really don't do a whole lot to protect your hearing. Grinders grind over 95 decibels. Plasma torches are really high. CNC plasma, arc gouging, the list goes on and on and on. And I've known a lot of really old welders who have done this all their life, and they don't hear certain tones anymore. Even myself, I've been in the trade for almost 10 years now, and I've been able to notice a difference, and I've spent the money and I've used really good earplugs. That being said, I'm grateful I've had them. I often use the metaphor that, if you think of those foam earplugs as a Volkswagen Bug, these things are like driving a Ferrari in comparison. Not that I've actually got a chance to drive a Ferrari, but I can imagine. Huge. Talk to your employers, see what you can do if they're willing to do these for you. If you're a contractor, getting out on your own, I strongly look at getting yourself a set of these. They're made by a company called DB Blocker. You can find them on the net. And for the cash, you can't go wrong. They last, actually my first set, I'm at 7 years. So yeah, safety glasses, really need to look at buying a pair that fits your face. I have a fairly narrow face. Not all safety glasses fit me equally. So yeah.